Hey, and welcome. This is motorsagogo.com, AC Variety, powered by AC Variety. Today we're at the Route 66 Dragway 2017 NMRA event. As you can see behind us, we have some publicity trailer and some official merchandise. It's a multi-camera shoot, and Dave Paninsky, myself, Dave Paninsky being the owner and operator of AC Variety, is ready and willing, more than ready to willing to do this shoot today. We have the equipment, we have the know-how, and we have a bunch of cool people and drag racing people for you to meet. So sit back, lay back, stay tuned. We're going to go from the pits to the starting line to the stories behind the racers to trials and tribulations of racing. It's all going to be packed in one show for you right now. So like I said, sit back, enjoy. It's motorsagogo.com, powered by AC Variety Network Television, bringing it to you. Okay, as we're walking through our initial walkthrough on the pits this morning here at the NMRA event at Route 66 Dragway right here in Joliet, we ran across a really cool car, hen-house prowler, caught up with in between rounds here, and caught up with the owner. And your name?
Dan Jones out of Palo, Ohio.
Dan, got something about Coronets. I know that's what caught my eye. This is what, a 66?
Yep, 1966 Coronet. It was originally a 383 car.
Okay.
It currently has a 400 low deck with B1 heads on it. Makes about 750 horse somewhere.
Wow,
in there.
I'm blown away on that one. How long have you been campaigning this car?
I bought the car. I actually got it back exactly 1 year ago today.
All right.
from having the chassis done. I bought the car 2 years ago,
All right.
roughly, and it was a pro street car. Had it completely, took all the glass out of the car, and new chassis, and basically everything is on it. It's brand new.
All right.
Thanks for Jegs.
Yeah. Little plug for Jegs there.
Right.
They got everything.
They do, and I live right down the road.
Oh,
from
yeah,
them,
that's
so,
right. I
yeah.
was going to say, didn't even click in my head right
Literally,
away.
so.
Yeah, literally. Okay.
Yeah.
So running for parts is no big thing here. Okay.
That's right.
Anyhow, what kind of, in the class you're in now, what kind of ETs you're turning?
The car runs, well, I'm running a 1050 index for
right.
Nostalgic Superstock. So, you know, the air's pretty good this morning, so
Yes,
we had
it
to
is.
add some weight. I had to add about 100 pounds. Hopefully slow the car down a little bit. I'm still at the bottom of the qualifying. Broke out both passes yesterday with
Whoa.
a 1048
Yeah.
and a 1049-1 on a 1050 index. So
Yeah.
I'm bouncing all around it. Hope
Right.
to hit it.
Yeah, I was just going to say, you're going to hit the mark.
Yeah.
You already told us a little bit about the power plant. Take us through the drivetrains, trans, and rear end.
It's a 727 tranny
Okay.
built by CRT out of Indiana, John Cope over there, Cope Racing Transmissions. Guy helped me out a lot. He built me a tranny in one day. Went and picked it up, and then it has a Dana 60 rear end.
All right.
It's got 488 gears in it.
All right. Nice pure Mopar in the back.
Yeah,
in there.
yeah. Just a neat old hot rod.
You're not kidding.
51 years old now, so.
You know, scary thought, but it is. But I don't know. Something about the Cornets in that era, the Chargers, that roof line. It's very
the roof
dynamic.
line and the back quarter panel,
Yes.
and then looking at the back of the car, you know, you can see how the Roadrunner, the Coronet,
All of it.
Super B, the GTX, how they all came from this vehicle.
Yes, they did.
You know, this body style was 1965. It came out, and then 66 and 67. They made 545,000.
Wow.
Something real
Wow.
close to that number.
Yeah, I had a friend years ago that actually had one, the Coronet 440, little modifications on a 318, but it was canary yellow with a black vinyl top. The same.
Good
same
looking,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
Yeah,
But
as a kid, you know.
It was a lot of fun to drive. It was, you know, wasn't
Yeah.
the fastest thing, but you know, it was fun. It was
Right.
a lot of fun to drive, and always got attention on the street. So.
Right.
Anyhow, listen, we want to wish you the best of luck in the competition for this weekend, and thanks for taking the time to come out and speak with us. I'm going to grab a hand there.
You bet, man. Thanks for
take care.
taking the time to look at it.
All right, stay with us. We got more coming from the race. Okay, as we're going through the pits, we found another nostalgic super stock right here at the NMRA event. We're staying with Mopar right now because there's some beauties right here. We caught up with the owner, and he's going to tell you a little bit more about this Coronet. And your name, sir?
Ron Tiller.
Ron, what area do you campaign this car out of?
I'm out of Canton, Georgia, just north of Atlanta,
All right.
and we go to 7 races a year. They're all NMCA races from Florida to Chicago, Bowling Green, Indianapolis, and Ohio.
All right, and off camera, you were telling me a great history on this pristine Coronet, which you said was a 65?
1965 Dodge Coronet.
Okay, of course, you know, folks, as our cameraman is going down the side of the car, this is a two-door post model, right?
2-door post.
Okay, but give us a little history on the car, how it came to your
The
being.
car was found in Louisville, Kentucky, and it was on a carport. And a gentleman kept asking the lady to sell it, and she said no, she couldn't because it was her husband's car.
Sure.
And so she left a note with her lawyer, and when she died, she called the guy, and he bought the car, and it was sent to Louisiana and made a 990 clone out of it. Then,
All right.
Then I bought that car, and then I made it into a race car. It's got 37,000 original miles on it. No
Unbelievable.
rust.
It is, folks. Too bad you're not here live, but our David Paninsky, the owner and operator of AC Variety, is running the camera down the car right now. I'll give you an idea how pristine this car is. So you know what? Take me through the drivetrain. What do you got going on from the engine, the tranny, and the rear end?
It's a 528 Hemi.
All right.
And then transmission is a 727 transmission and 9-inch Mopar rear end. And run ladder bar. I run the regular bars on the rear end, and I run 1050.
Yeah, I was just going to ask you the ETs. Okay. Wow, that's sailing too for full. Now, how much steel is in this car?
It's all steel except the trunk lid and the front end.
Okay.
I have all the steel parts for the car, but I did that to lighten it up. It still weighs 3425.
I was just going to ask you what the curb weight was if it was substantially over 3,000, and
yes,
it is. But considering you're running in the tens with all that weight, that's unbelievable. Now the bumpers are actually metal too. They're not.
They're fiberglass.
Oh, they are glass.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I don't know how much of an inconvenience it is, but is there any possibility we can take a look underneath the hood?
Oh, be glad to.
All right. Mention this Hemi, folks, and he's going to pull off all 6 pins. You usually see 4 pins on a hood, on a glass hood. This one's got 6. He's going to have a little assistance here from the team. This is going to be a treat, folks. Look at that cross ram. This is sweet. This is a. You said this is stroked and punched out, or?
528.
Okay.
And that's basically the only thing I've done to it. Heads are aluminum, but they're stock. That intake came from South America. There was that's an original magnesium intake from Mopar.
Really?
And there was very few of them, and I found it in South America on a wrecked super stock car that was taken down there to race.
Wow.
And this is an aluminum factory hood scoop from Mopar from the 60s.
No kidding.
And that's the 2 parts I have on this thing that are hooked to the nostalgia part of superstock racing.
All right. It's funny. I would have bet my bottom dollar that was somebody's aftermarket cross ram. You know, because the one I'm most familiar with, really, the carburetors are more radically separated. They're way off.
That's the 413.
Yeah. Okay. And that is so cool. So obviously that's adding some nice airflow for you.
It is.
Stuff,
and then these 2 things sort of tied me back to the era, and everything else is stock.
Okay. I see you got some aluminum heads on there too.
Yeah, that's the only thing, but they're not like modified. I just run regular heads.
Well, from the 426 Hemi, they were opened up pretty good. Weren't they?
Yeah. Yes.
And last thing I want to mention, and again, I appreciate you popping the hood, but I'm glad we walked to the front of the car because I noticed in the modification on the grill, you took out the high beam headlights. That's kind of cool.
That's right. The Hemi cars only came with 1 headlight.
Really? Didn't even realize that.
And they had this piece you'll see.
Yeah.
We had to add it in out of another grill because the Hemi did not have a headlight. That's how you tell a Hemi.
And you always think, God, I know everything about. You always learn something new, folks, and what I just found out. Wow, didn't realize the Hemi came out without that model.
And that was when we saw one on the street. Everybody knew 1 headlight was a Hemi.
Wow, didn't want to mess with you, right?
That's right. That's exactly right.
Anyhow, thank you for so much. I know you're in between rounds and stuff here, and I want to grab a hand, shake your hand.
Much. Thank you.
I wish you the best of luck in qualifying and the racing today, and please enjoy this car. It is an eye catcher. It's a beauty. It's a one of a kind, and glad you own it. And I know you're going to bring it forward.
Thank you, sir.
You bet.
Okay.
All right, stay with us. We got more coming. Okay, so we're going through the pits. We're gonna switch over to Ford for a few minutes in the NSS class, and again, we found a Thunderbolt clone here. We're gonna find out a little bit more about it, and we caught up with the owner. And your name, sir?
Skip Kester.
Skip, tell me about this car. It is so cool. First of all, where do you campaign the car out of?
Out of Cleveland, Ohio.
Cleveland. All right. A lot of Ohio folks here today, I noticed.
Yes, there is.
Walking through the pits now, I haven't seen too many Fords here in NSS. What's the story?
No, I don't know. They just didn't show up today. There's usually at least 3 or 4 of us, but they didn't come this weekend. There's another big race back in Ohio this weekend.
Oh, okay. So they might be pulling some of the local guys too. All right. Kind of give us a history on the car. How long have you had it?
I've been racing it for 12 years. Actually, my cousin owns a car. I just drive the car.
Sorry, I made that assumption. A lot driver-owner, but.
My cousin Kurt Neighbor owns a car.
Kurt, okay. Shout out to Kurt.
He drove it for 15 years.
No kidding.
And then asked me if I wanted to race, and I've been driving it for the past. This is my 13th year.
Wow. Okay, talk about family racing, folks. This is it. And run us through the the engine and the tranny and the rear end?
It's a 427 FE.
Okay.
I'm running a C6 automatic transmission.
All right.
And a Ford 9-inch rear end.
Wow, talk about all Ford.
It's all Ford.
Okay. And in your NSS division there, what kind of ETs you turning?
1050s.
1050s? Okay, so that's sort of like your breakout?
That's the B Nostalgia Superstock is a 1050
It's a 1050, okay. Not being re-familiarizing myself with the class, I'm learning as I'm talking, sort of say. But anyhow, the other thing is this looks like an original Ford color.
No.
It's not, okay, because I had
This is a pearl white.
Really? Okay, I'm sorry, I didn't catch the pearlescent right away, but
it's faded from 25, 30 years.
Yeah.
You know.
What was it? I had an uncle with an old Galaxy 500 that I swear to God it was the same color.
Well, yeah, they were the same color. This is basically the Ford color. It's supposed to have some pearl in it. That's
okay.
all.
You know, now that I'm tilting on the sun a little bit, I do see some pearlescent. All right. And is most of the body still steel, or?
No, it's underbolts had fiberglass hood.
Okay.
Front fenders and both bumpers.
Okay. We're gonna have a little challenge here to talk because we have another race car fired up in the pits. But we want to thank you, Skip, for taking the time to speak with us.
You're welcome.
And best of luck in today's qualifying eliminations and so on. Let me grab a hand and shake it.
Thank you very much, sir.
You bet. Take care now.
Just a beauty. Now, if I climbed up, I'll just take you with me. Beautiful. Guys.
That's Titus.
He's laid back.
I was
I
just
like
going to ask, we have a racing dog here, and this is Titus, you said?
Titus,
And give me that breed again.
He is a Great Pyrenees.
Okay. Beautiful, beautiful coat.
Thank you. He's the owner of Joker.
Okay.
Cotty Modified.
Okay. So he enjoys the racing?
Oh, he loves it. We rescued him 2 years ago.
Great.
And we've been bringing him since we've got him.
Okay.
So the cars don't bother him at all.
Wow. He's like a gentle giant, to be
He
honest
is.
with you.
That's
He's
their
one
breed. They
laid
say
back
gentle
Yeah,
giant. Yes.
really.
Beautiful dog.
We had to stop by and say hey in between,
thank you.
between the racing.
All right.
Okay.
Have a good
Okay,
day.
Titus, thank you. Thank you. I didn't catch your name.
Sharker.
Sure. Okay. I know you're busy, but is there any art in packing the laundry like that?
Well, because it's my dad.
Okay, we'll
I
do it
pack
right for
it
Dad.
extra carefully.
All right. By the laundry, I mean the parachutes that go with these cars. You got double trouble here too. You got two
Double
of them.
trouble, yes.
Yeah.
Twice as important job.
Yeah, really. Anyhow, I saw you stringing it out, and I thought, okay, we're gonna come by and just sneak up on you
Yeah,
and say,
no,
hey,
it's okay.
that's okay. We'll let you go back to work.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, so we're going through the car show and there's some great stuff here. I finally caught up with a car I've seen a couple of times before. It's a 426 Hemi. It's an old AFX car. We got to find out more about it. And your name, sir?
Is Bob John.
Bob, how are you affiliated with this car?
I am the owner of this car.
Okay.
I found a car in a barn in Indiana a few years ago.
Wow.
And my brother-in-law was actually the inventor of these cars.
So back in the 60s, the AFX?
The AFX cars.
Altered wheelbase?
The altered wheelbase cars. My brother-in-law was Dick Maxwell. He was one of the original Ram Chargers.
Wow.
And these cars came about in about 1964.
Okay.
The story I was told, that they went to California to talk to people about building factory race cars.
Okay.
And when they went to California, I guess NHRA, the sanctioning body at the time, told them they could build factory race cars, but the motor had to be in the original position. And when they went back to Detroit, they were sitting around a conference table, Maxwell, Hoover, and Thornton.
Okay.
And Thornton said, well, what are we going to do? They said the motors had to be in the original position. And Dick said, but they didn't say where the wheels had to be at. So at that point, I guess they started making plans to actually building these cars and moving the rear wheels forward 15 inches and the front wheels forward 10 inches. When the factory came out to look at the cars in late 64, early 65, Dick said that they stacked boxes up around the car. They left like a 30-inch aisle all the way around the car.
Okay.
They had these cars in a warehouse. And when they came out, they looked at the cars, and basically they looked at the motor and they said they were fine.
Yeah, there you go.
And then when they took them out to California in 65, the second time these cars came to the starting line, the announcer said, here come them funny-looking cars again. And thus the term funny car
Oh my God, that's
was derived. And that's the story that I've been told with these cars.
No, that I had heard that because I had asked somebody years ago, where did we get funny? I mean, where did you get that from AFX? I had heard that story before, and now you confirmed it.
Well,
I totally believe that to be the factual story.
I truly believe that to be the true story about
Right. So give me a little history on this particular one. You said it was a barn find, but I originally came up to you and I thought this was one of the factory pieces.
that. No, this is not. It's really not one of the factory pieces.
Okay.
I found a car in a barn. The chassis was all done. The wheels were all moved on it.
Okay.
And all of the parts were there.
Wow.
And I bought the car for substantially less than what the gentleman was asking for it. And I put the car together.
Wow. So in essence, you finished the car.
I finished the car.
Now, is this all metal except for the hood, or?
No, the doors are fiberglass. The bumper brackets, the hood are fiberglass. The
Okay.
dashboard, it's got aluminum door hinges. It has the complete lightweight package that
All right.
Chrysler offered in '65 for these cars. And
That's what's so deceiving when you look at it. The untrained eye would go, yeah, no, this was a factory, because it looks so good,
I think in the days these cars were pretty rough.
Yeah.
And this car is, I think, a lot more polished than what the original cars were.
Okay.
The drag racers, they were pretty crude individuals, and they changed stuff on a pretty regular basis. I know I've talked to some very good friends who did some nostalgia racing many years ago, and this girl Carolyn always told me that the cars that they have today, the clones, are so much cleaner and nicer than what the original cars were, because they race them every weekend, and I get that. This car hasn't probably been raced in 5 years, 6
I was
years.
just going to ask that, and when it was, what kind of ATTs were you?
The car would run a 10.0 on a good day.
That was nice.
And that's what the factory cars ran.
Yeah. I got to, before I walk away, I love that old school injecting stacks on that Hemi. What kind of injectors are those?
These are Hillborn injectors,
Hillborn? Okay.
but it's an EFI. It's an electronic fuel injection. It's
okay.
a newer version of it.
Okay.
And it makes it a lot easier to start up. It runs a lot better.
Now, if I'm not mistaken, in the old days, didn't you have to prime those ports?
You
or
prime the
something?
injectors, and with the electronic stuff, you don't have to do that anymore.
Amen, brother. All right. Yeah, because whenever I've seen this car, the first thing that's the eye attraction, of course, is it's an altered wheelbase. The next thing is you see those stacks sticking out of the hood, and it's you're thinking, wow, this is old school. This is reminiscent,
I always thought that Hemi motors were very impressive, just the massive size of them and
Absolutely.
what they were. And in their day, they were very dominant. They were the ones to beat.
All forms of racing, I might add, too.
And
but
all forms of
NASCAR
racing,
even,
yeah.
You know.
And NASCAR, I think in '64 stopped the Hemi motors.
That's right. There was a lot of controversy with that, really. Anyhow, I want to thank you for taking the time to speak with us. The mystery of this car is solved. The history of the AFX cars is kind of out there now. And we appreciate you spending the time and with the factual information. And your connection to the manufacturer of these cars is very interesting.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Okay, let me grab a hand there, too.
And there's Dick's name up there.
Yeah, I see Dick's in loving memory of Dick's Maxwell. We're going to get that on camera. And thanks again, and good luck whenever you show this car. And hey, if there's a buyer out there, I think this car's available. So hey, why not?
Thank you.
Okay, stay with us. We got more coming from Route 66 Dragway, right here in Joliet, Illinois.
Greg Santana, the Camry, the 2017 Mustang, already in the field with 393 yesterday. 193 pound journey.
Okay, as we're going through the pits, there's a lot of vendors here as well, some really awesome race cars. This is a little bit of both. We're going to find out what's going on. And first off, I think you're a race car driver, right?
I am.
Okay, and your name and your car.
I'm Nikki Frost. I run NMRA Coyote Modified, number 4924.
Okay,
Yeah.
and?
Auto racer.
That's okay, but tell us who you are.
I'm Drew.
Okay, Drew.
I'm Joanna. I do
Joanna.
race sometimes, but not this weekend.
Okay, we have Joanna is a part-time racer here. So part-time, but that's cool. Say, so what's this, all your PR stuff? Or?
Well, this is
Your
for
spot?
MagnaFlow. We're here with
Okay.
MagnaFlow on
Okay.
the manufacturer's Midway.
Okay.
And so we've got some swag. People want to come out and sign up for emails and get our newsletter. We greatly appreciate it. It helps our racing program. And, you know, we like spreading the word about MagnaFlow. It's us.
To tell you the truth, that's the way to get the word out there, and it's also the way, if you have a sponsorship or you're getting some income from them, it certainly helps. It doesn't hurt, let's put it that way, that we're even talking to them, right? Cindy, how long you guys been doing this? Just jump right in there. This is her first day.
Yeah, a couple years.
Couple years?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, does this team follow you out to all the events? Or?
No, they're fantastic. They're just here for this event with us
See,
so
you
far.
guys are fantastic. You didn't even, you know.
Thanks.
So, hats out to you guys. Anyhow, we were going by, saw something going on, wanted to, hey, you know what? Let's talk to them before they get busy. So, we appreciate your time. So,
Thanks, guys.
okay, it's kind of cool stuff that's going on right here at Route 66. Stay with us. Okay, one of the pleasures of coming to an event repeatedly, and that's the NMRA events, is you meet old friends, and one of the best ones and well-known ones we know of is Roush Racing, and I'm proud to be standing next to Susan Roush. And how you doing today?
I'm doing great.
Okay, we were just talking off camera about the weather in this area. We've had a lot of rain, as you know, and flooding in Illinois and various places, but
Yes.
today I think we're blessed.
Oh yes, it's a beautiful day. Good day for racing.
Okay. It's always a good day for racing. But anyhow, kind of tell us about what's been going on the last year, and I see some new sponsorship or something on your hauler about AmeriGas Metro Lawn.
Well, AmeriGas has been with us for a few years now.
Oh, have they? Okay.
Yeah, but we just got a new wrap on the hauler. Kind of cleaned it up, brightened it up. We brought, of course, Don's name has always been on the hauler.
Right.
And in the past we've had Roush, which was more of a corporate deal.
Okay.
But the Jack Roush logo behind me is more of an old school sort of, thing. That comes from right towards the end of my father's drag racing career. He had split with Gap,
Okay.
And he was just starting really just getting into the engineering part, but he was still supporting a lot of engine customers in various types of motorsport racing. So that was his logo for a few years.
All right.
I don't know exactly how many years, but probably 3 or 4.
So naturally you can use it with no problem, right?
Well, being the museum curator, I have I've secured the rights to a lot of these old logos. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Which is probably does your dad have a signature copyrighted or anything like that? I know a lot of
Honestly,
NASCAR guys do.
I'm not sure. I would be surprised, but I'm not sure.
Yeah. That started with like Dale Earnhardt years ago, but as far as what we're doing right now, how things working for you today and going into this event?
Very good.
Okay.
Very good. Of course, I've got the propane-powered Mustang here,
Right.
and so does Donnie.
Okay.
So both of our cars, here are propane-powered. Now, in the past, when I've come to Joliet, I've run a second car because I run both NMRA and NMCA.
Okay.
So you have to have 2 cars if you want to run in both series.
Okay.
So I have actually a 2001 car that we'd run on E85 for the past few years.
Okay.
It was a car that I raced before this one was actually built.
All right.
But we had some engine trouble, and I decided that I really wanted to do it right and take the opportunity to convert it over to propane as well.
Okay.
So for this event, I am racing a pickup truck. but that's okay. It's cool. It's a really fun sort of change. I enjoy the challenge.
Yes, I noticed when you had the truck out there, you don't do a burnout. You just kind of go up to the line and why wreck the equipment?
Well, street tires. And
Yeah,
I got to
street
foot
tires
brake
on
it, and
a little
it's
brake
just,
tire. You read the tree real well, though. So you did a nice gate job on the tree. But one thing I always wanted to say to you, my hat's off to you with what you've done with research. And I'm going to call it green racing, or just the research you've done and involved with propane and E85. I don't know if anybody else that really is doing that, but yet you have extremely competitive vehicles here.
Yeah, right. We put this program together the fall of 2009, and I may have spoken to you about it before.
Yes, you have.
But just to recap very briefly,
Go for it.
but we were actually going to go super stock racing.
Oh, really?
With this car, and it's configured NHRA super stock, except for the body work. That we'd have to change a number of things, but the chassis itself is a super stock car. So we were in the process of building that, and Donnie had been racing his 2005 for a while, and I got to thinking, do we really want to do that? Is that, I'm the museum curator, and one of the reasons why we're out here doing things like this is so that I can talk knowledgeably about not just the history, but the actual racing. And I've done this before. Before we got involved with the drag racing, I did it with rally racing.
Okay.
So I really like to immerse myself in, and really understand what it is that we have in our museum and why it's there. So part of our company's, Roush Industries is a research and development company, not just for the automotive industry, but for a lot of different markets and industries out there. So one of them is we are involved in various aspects of alternative fuels. Okay, including the battery-powered vehicles and natural gas and propane.
And this would also be for vehicles for potentially for commercial use, like buses and.
Well, yes, actually, Bluebird Bus is one of our larger customers. We have a kit, a process where we convert gas engines over to propane, and it's for fleet vehicle application. We really weren't able to use any of the components over here on the side of racing, with a few exceptions. But it was all just the information, the science behind it.
Absolutely.
That we were able to apply. So we took that and started racing with it. And it's, we're not the only ones out there racing on propane, but The engines really don't know any different.
Wow.
They don't.
That's
You know,
amazing.
the only thing that we've done to these engines, to the engines themselves, is to put hardened seats in the valves. You know,
Okay.
other than prepare them for racing.
Okay.
But the fuel is a tremendous fuel. You know, we've dynoed it, compared it against C14, propane. The propane that we use has an octane of about 104, so it's a really good fuel.
Yeah.
And we've been able to make good horsepower.
So on a dyno, horsepower within certain RPM ranges,
There's no difference.
Wow, I can't. I'm just
No,
astonished.
no
about
difference
that.
in horsepower torque between the propane and the C14.
Wow.
None that we found.
Okay, and that would be the way to detect it accurately. And proof's in the pudding, folks. You know, they tested it, but anyhow, I know I got you away from lunch and team
no,
and everything else, and
not a problem.
there's a lot of AmeriGas Metro Lawn people here today.
Yeah, they're having an employee event.
Okay,
which is
and-
tremendous.
Yeah, and it's all part of your package here, and it's really, really cool. It's like family back here, folks, but that's Roush Racing, you know, what can I tell you? But anyhow, so I'm going to let you go, but I'm going to grab a hand. It's great to see you again,
Good
and
to
great
see you
to speak
too.
with you again, and good luck always, especially not only in today's events, but moving forward with anything you guys, endeavors you guys do. All right, stay with us, we got more coming.
To our new race-proven performance drag brakes, you can count on Motor.
CP Pony Parts. Cool. Okay, well, Dave Panitsky, the owner of AC Variety, is kind of going around the truck here, and I've seen some stake bed trucks in my time, but this beauty from CJPPonyparts.com really is an eye catcher. Can you tell me your name and a little bit more about it?
My name is Bob Cochran.
Okay, Bob.
And of course, like I said, it's a 1948 Ford truck.
All right.
It was an original flatbed when it came from the factory.
No kidding.
Yep.
Wow.
And I've had the truck for a little over 50 years. And it's got a 520 cubic inch big block Ford motor in it.
Okay, it's like what, a 429 punched out?
A 460.
Okay.
It's a 460 base type motor punched out. And like I say, it's got a just a Ford 9-inch rear end under it. And,
Okay.
And other than that, it's pretty much, like I say, this year I put the new Cabela seats in it.
Okay,
and
increase your comfort.
Yeah, I did. And well, it was to make it a little safer because I could sit down a little further.
Okay.
And then we put the harness in it and put the roll cage in it.
Does it feel good in there in the cockpit?
It does. It really does feel good. For years, I was running just with the old bench seat.
Oh Lord.
And all that, you know.
Yeah.
And but it was nice. You just get in and put your lap belt on and went for a ride. And,
yeah.
But then once I started running in the 11s, I had
yeah,
to.
I was just going to ask you about ETs. Now you're getting. Yeah. As soon as you get below 12 and get
And it runs a low 11, and I have ran as low as like a 1040.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Wow. My hat's off to you on that.
You know.
This is, I guess when you come up to the starting line with this, there must be folks that go like, "Whoa, check this out."
Yeah,
you know?
they do, and the guys come through the pits and all that kind of stuff, and kind of marvel at it's something different.
It absolutely is.
It's not like your typical Mustang or Ranger pickup or what a lot of other people have, you know.
And you see a lot of Lightning out there, you know,
Yeah.
all kind of Ford products out there, but this is special.
And it's got a custom built set of headers on it that are hand built.
Okay. I see where they're dumping out underneath the door.
Come out the fender wells and,
Okay.
and come out behind the wheels and stuff, you know.
Okay.
And way it keeps them away from the transmission and stuff. It gets the heat away from them and all that.
Absolutely. And did you have to cut into the fender wells a little bit to get those babies in there? Or?
Oh yeah, you had to cut the inner fenders, had to cut holes in the inner fenders
to accommodate.
but then it didn't have to bother the exterior of the real fenders, or didn't bother the running boards or any of that.
Perfect.
That's the reason the truck pretty much, when you look at the outside of it, it looks stock.
It damn well it is. You know. I was going to say, you mentioned through the years you might have had the flatbed part of it beefed up a little bit, or the woodwork is beautiful on it.
But that's actually the way it came from the factory. But that is new wood. I mean, I came up with that wood is over 100 years old. It came out of an old hog barn.
Wow.
And I run it through a lathe and cleaned it up, and then got new strips for it and rebuilt the bed. But that's exactly, it's still got the original Ford logo back there in the back. If you look in the middle of the bed right there.
Okay, he's coming on it right now.
Yep, you'll see that it's got that Ford logo. It's got the old rivets right in it and everything,
Wow, I am impressed. So, go ahead.
But then step back here a minute.
Let's go. Take a look. Show us.
For years, we had an old set of fire extinguisher bottles on here for nitrous bottles. And then I talked to them at Induction Solutions, and they came up with a nitrous set for me.
That is a nice setup.
Yeah, and because I used to run an intake with dual fours on it.
Okay.
And that's the reason it had 2 nitrous bottles on it, just for looks and all that, but now we got a little more serious in the racing and run a little faster. You run faster if you only got 1 carburetor to worry about rather than 2,
Yeah.
And stuff. So it's interesting. It's fun to play with.
And I was going to ask you too, where do you campaign this truck out of? What part of the country?
Out of Columbus, Ohio.
Columbus, Ohio.
But
a lot of folks from Ohio here.
And that's where I am. Actually, they asked me now where my home address is, and it's actually out of Kentucky.
All right.
Close to Rineyville.
All right.
That's where the family farm is.
All right.
And that's where I hang out about a fourth of my time, and the other fourth is hung out up south of Columbus. A buddy of mine up there, I have a place where I can park and stuff. And then the other half of my time is spent in Florida.
All right. I don't blame you about the Florida part. Do you go all the way down to the peninsula? You stay in the Gulf? Or?
I pretty much stay about the middle ways of the state, just not very far from Bradenton.
Okay.
Okay. And we'll race in Bradenton a couple times a year.
Okay.
When the NMRA and NMCA come down there.
Sure, yeah, that's right, David.
And then we come back up and race in Atlanta, and then back to Pennsylvania. And then
do you get up to Bowling Green?
Oh yeah, we'll be in Bowling Green the end of September.
All right.
For the championship there.
All right.
And so.
All right. Well, you know what? We appreciate. We're taking some video of the truck. You were kind enough to come walking up and let us really get a good look at it. And this is just a very unique race truck, and
it's different.
It's different, and yet I know the folks that see this truck gotta love it. No doubt about it. So I'm
one thing
glad
about it, I never lose it in the staging lanes. It's always heads above everybody else. I can always find my truck in the staging lanes.
That's no kidding, given the height of that truck. Yeah.
But on days like today, when they got that terrific headwind, it makes it a little rough. It's holding me down to about 11:20 today when I should be running 11:0s.
Sure. I was going to ask you, looking at the leaf spring on the axle before I walk away from it, was there any other modifications to the suspension or the chassis to get you down the track better?
Well, now that's a set of cow tracks.
Okay.
And I had the old original. My buddies used to kid me about my old buggy springs because it had the little bitty narrow 48 springs on it until just did that 2 years ago.
Okay.
And got the setup from cow track and put that on, and that was basically the only thing we did to the suspension.
Right, because I'm looking at the height looks pretty stock.
It is. It's setting just a little bit high in the back, but not much.
Yeah, not much. And I thought that maybe accommodate.
But then we've lowered the front end a little bit because we took the old I-beam suspension off from under it and put a 2004 Ranger front end under it with a steering. What do you call it when it's
rack and pinion?
Rack and pinion steering. And stuff, so it made the front end set a little bit lower.
Sure.
But it's much more drivable.
It has a nice stance from the front too. It probably cuts the air a little bit better.
A little bit better.
I know you got the big cab going for you, but
it's just fun to play with.
Oh, it's absolutely. It looks like a joy. But anyhow, look, grab a hand, dude.
Okay. Good talking to you.
Oh, absolutely. Appreciate you
coming back. I'm glad I was here.
It was a timing thing. It was meant to happen.
That's right.
I always look at it. So
there you go.
All right. Good luck today and all future racing with this beautiful truck.
All right. Good luck.
Thank you. Okay, again, as we're going down the pits, and sort of like digging the trucks today, and this Ranger is no exception. Obviously sponsored by Full Pint Brewing Company in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. But we're going to find the owner and find out a little bit more about this Ranger. And here we go. We have a team here, and your name, sir?
Keith Chaburko.
And?
I'm Matt Chaburko.
Okay, we have the Chaburko guys here. And tell us a little bit about, first of all, your Ranger, the year it is, and a little bit about the drivetrain and the type of racing you do.
Go ahead. You're good on everything in there.
Okay.
It's a 2001 Ranger.
All right.
It's running a fuel-injected 302 with nitrous. We're 150 horse shot of nitrous. It's got a C4 automatic behind it.
Okay.
We're running a Fab 9 9-inch rear end. Truck's been a best of an 1102. This weekend we're struggling a little bit this weekend with some problems, but otherwise it's running really well.
So you're low 11s.
Low 11s, yeah.
Looking at this car, the chassis and the setup of this truck, I should say, this car, it looks like it could get into the 10s if you wanted it. So, you know,
This is actually the last race on the engine and combination that's in it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's.
You're gonna stay with a small block?
We're gonna stay with a small block Ford,
Okay.
but we're gonna spend hopefully the second half of the year here through the fall, hopefully getting an engine in it, and maybe get a couple of passes on it this year before coming out for the 2018 season.
Okay. Anything special on the chassis with the roll bars tied into it?
The front half is an S&W race car's A-arm front suspension.
All right.
It runs strange coilovers all the way around.
All right.
Willwood disc brakes. Rear end it's C-notched on the frame, and then it also has the Fab 9 9-inch rear end that's been mini tubbed basically to the frame rails.
And it's a ladder bar setup.
And it's a ladder bar setup.
All right.
Sure.
Now, being unfamiliar with that setup, but listening earnestly to you, is there some kind of suspension to absorb shock?
It's a coilover rear suspension.
Okay, so your coilovers are picking up all your shock. Okay. All right, because walking by, what caught me was the stance of the truck, the way you got those slicks tucked into those fender wells. I thought that was really awesome. And I didn't get to see you make any time runs today yet, but just from looking at it, it looks like it would probably come out of the hole pretty straight.
It does.
Stay pretty consistent.
It is very. Pete Johnson out of Nosnodge Performance is the chassis builder out of Greenwood, Indiana.
Okay.
And when we took it to him, we had an idea what we wanted.
Sure.
We wanted to lower it a little.
Yeah.
Showed up to pick it up, and he lowered it a lot.
Okay, was that like the surprise of the day?
It was a surprise, yes.
It's a little lower
I was
than we
surprised that it
expected.
was much lower than we expected. It was lowered 3 inches when it had all the stock suspension in.
Okay.
And he lowered it another 7.5.
Yeah. So it's down.
Okay. So how did it feel with that low, the first couple of passes? You felt like, okay, we did the right thing here? Or?
It did. It was certainly much more. It wasn't exactly what I thought it was going to be.
Okay.
It used to, when it was leaf springs, it would pick the front wheels up and twist up and everything. And then when we left the first time with this new chassis setup, it just basically kind of just went. It doesn't squat a whole lot, and it just laid down and it went. And,
All
I
right.
said, wow, is this how this is supposed to feel? And they said, yeah, that's correct.
That's it, huh?
Right.
So this truck was built as his,
Okay.
and he drove it for all the way up until 2014. So probably 7, 8, 9 years he was driver.
All right.
And I was pushing and pulling and pit crewing for him.
Pit crew.
Then he decided to move to Colorado, so he left it for me.
Okay.
And I'm driving it now, and my wife is out here with us. And so, you know what? We're going to run it for a few years and take it to Colorado and give it back to him.
Hey, why not?
Yeah.
What part of Colorado did you end up?
I'm living in Colorado Springs.
Oh, okay. I was gonna. That's military, isn't it? Or-
Very much so, yes.
Okay. Myself, Estes Park, Greeley. I've been through there, but I've never been down to your area there. But beautiful state. What can I tell you? But anyhow, last question before I let you go. How did you come to get a partnership or a sponsorship with Full Pint Brewing Company? It's kind of cool that you have a.
So he worked with the beer salesperson for the brewery.
Okay.
And they did a lot of different promotional things and beer shows and things like that.
Sure.
And somewhere along the line put their heads together and said that the truck might be a good promotional tool for the brewery. Got the decal put on it. I think it looks stellar with the decal on it.
It's perfect for this body and everything else, and it has a nice motion flow to it.
Yep.
So.
And so at this point, you know, they're not full sponsorship of paying our way by any means, but you know what? It's something that, like I said, it's an attention grabber. We typically bring some beers to the race with us. If you want to stop around later on when the racing's over, there's a handful of them in there. I'll be glad to share one with you.
We'll try to take you up on that.
But we do that, and you know, we're going to have the truck at the brewery for some promotional deals.
I was just going to say, does the brewery want the truck off season or once in a while, and they have, you know, for PR purposes?
When we can get up there and try and do that, we do so. We don't do an awful lot of racing locally there, maybe a couple of test and tunes here and there.
Sure.
But you know what? We get the name out to the NMRA locations,
and it sure can't hurt. And the criteria for us to walk up to you just now was, I asked you a question about, well, I was interested in the race truck, obviously, but Full Pint Brewery, I wanted to know, you know, what kind of brewery that was. If it was a, you know, craft beer or a micro, or so.
I think we're the only beer-sponsored truck out here on the circuit. So
that is
something
cool.
different than all the car parts and race car parts. We got beer.
Right.
So
anyhow, at this point, gentlemen, I'm going to grab a hand.
Hey,
thank you so much for coming up to the plate and talking to us about this great race truck. And we want to wish you luck, all your future endeavors with this truck and going forward.
Thank you. Appreciate it very much.
You bet. Take care now. Okay, going through the pits, we saw this car on a time run earlier. It's kind of reminiscent of a car that I remember at US 30, but this one's called New Big Thing, and we caught up with the owner of the car and the promoter of the car. And your name?
Mark Cryer.
Mark, kind of give us, you know, first of all, this is an attention getter, no doubt. Would you agree with me?
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. Yeah.
Kind of tell me how all this came about and how you got this smart car looking like this. And I'm going to have to ask you, this has a mysteriously close name to a car that used to be raced at US 30 called No Big Thing. And can you fill us in on that?
Yeah, correct. No Big Thing was probably the car that got me into drag racing. It's a car I'd go to US 30, I'd see it all the time. I loved it. And
for our viewers, if you want to give them a verbal description of the original No Big Thing.
No Big Thing was a Vespa, very small car similar to this, but an older version. You know, it was a Vespa.
Okay.
I don't know all the exact details of it, but in the early days, it was a 427 4-speed, wheels outside the body like this.
Definitely, yes.
And it really, you know, this is a tribute to that car, only a modern version of it. That's why we went with the New Big Thing name instead of the No Big Thing. But I'd go to 30 and watch that car and loved it, and kind of got me into drag racing, and this is my tribute to that.
Wow, and a great tribute it is.
Thank you.
Where can I start? I mean, can you take us through the chassis and the drivetrain, how you got a smart car to get to where it is right now and competitively race with it?
Yeah, bought the car body, bought the tub. My idea, my concept, you know, going towards the No Big Thing look, wanted to go with a small car, bought the smart car. The car was totaled going to a crusher. It was 2 weeks away from going to a crusher at a boneyard. Okay. Took the tub, put it on a jig, had some friends. I have several friends that are in the automotive industry, helped me put a tube chassis under it. We built a race car, certified to 850 tube chassis. Wow. It's got a 555 big block Chevy and a Jericho 4-speed with an inline shifter. Okay. So I shift between my legs and just a Ford 9-inch rear end, 410 gear.
Okay. And I saw you on the time run now. Now I understand why you have those long wheelie bars on the back.
Exactly.
It's got to be. It didn't look like, to a professional driver like yourself, it didn't look like it was a handful to get it down the track, because it went pretty straight.
Right.
But it's got to be the ride of your life.
It's fun. It's fun. And the deal with this car is if you get in, you do a good burnout, you get in a groove, and if you get it to go straight in first gear, it's easy to drive. It's a lot of fun. It handles real well on a big end.
Okay.
If for some reason you don't do a good burnout and you don't get a good first gear launch and it does go sideways, you're in trouble. It goes sideways fast.
Okay.
And all you can do is lift and bring her back and try to make the pass. So
I was noticing when you backed up into your burnout, and then I think you did a second burnout and you tracked into that.
Correct.
And you seemed to launch straight as an arrow.
Right.
Right. So that was a little smart prep on the starting line.
And that's my son. He's watching the tires and he knows what we need to do to make it work.
He was spot on.
Right. Right. Yeah, he helped. He helped for sure.
You lined up right.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
So how long have you campaigned the car on?
We've had it for this is our 3rd year. This is our
Wow.
3rd summer with it. Yeah.
Okay. Now I just got to ask, because again, the uniqueness of the car, the similar popularity to the car that this is tribute to, does it get a lot of attention, and has it had a lot of, say, media coverage or
Yeah.
On the internet?
Yeah. There's been people. I've had nothing to do with the videos on the internet, but there's been about 4 videos posted since we brought the car out.
You running the car?
Of us running the car, showing it wheeling and stuff, and on an average, I would say we're probably over about 10 million hits between them 4 videos.
I am like blown away.
Yeah, it was pretty. I was shocked. I didn't expect that. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Now I got to throw this one out there. The manufacturer of smart cars, have they seen this? I mean, granted, there's nothing remotely like the drivetrain of a smart car on this vehicle. It's full race, folks.
Right.
Except for the body, which is awesome. But has anybody from Smart Car ever contacted you like, hey, what the hell?
No, we did take it through a dealer for fun one day, and took it through the dealer on an open trailer. Got a lot of attention, and good.
Oh, I would have loved to have been a fly on the wall for that one. Even better with the AC Variety camera here.
Yeah. We were going to take it in for an oil change, but
I was just thinking to say, do you service Smart Cars?
Right.
I need a.
It was fun. It was a good time. Yeah. So.
Oh, great. First of all, I'm glad I caught up with you in the pits, and thank you so much for coming out and speaking with us and giving us the insight on this car. You probably have no idle time in the pits in between thrashing on this car. In the few minutes I've been talking to him, folks have come up on the other side of this car that you can't see, taking cell phone pictures of it, nonstop. So I mean,
we see that a lot.
I gotta grab your hand.
Thank you.
Great
Thank
idea.
you. Appreciate
competitive car. Something you got to see. Now you'll see it on AC Variety. So
okay.
And I want, on behalf of AC Variety, we want to say to you, best of luck every time you campaign this car, show this car, drive this car. It's a great thought piece, commemorative piece, and as well as it stands on its own as a great race car.
Thank you.
Keep up the good work.
All right. Appreciate it.
Okay, we got more coming. Stay tuned. Okay, going through the pits, and to be honest with you, I'm going to tell you folks, I've been looking for this car. Earlier we saw it make a time run. I'm an old US 30 kid, kind of grew up there. Saw this name Weehall, then I saw on the door, but solidified it for me, Seltzer and White. This is a name synonymous with drag racing in the Midwest, and I'm going to tell you who I'm standing next to. I'm going to let them introduce themselves. We caught up with them in the pits, and you are
Bill White.
Bill White and
Mike Seltzer.
Okay, folks, this is an honor. I remember the days at US 30 when they ran some pro stocks out here, but this Chevelle, this Malibu one we're looking at right now is one hell of a hot runner too. And let's start with this car. Let's kind of take us through the drivetrain, and then we'll talk a little bit about history of you guys too.
This is a 65 Chevelle, runs nostalgic super stock, all motor. It's a bracket type index bracket. It's got a 477-inch big block Chevrolet. No power addies whatsoever. The car runs 860s, 155 mile an hour on 10.5-inch tires.
Wow.
And we've got a lot of I would say earlier pro stock innovations in the motor. With some updates to make the power that we make. The motor in the car makes 980 horsepower and 750 pounds of torque.
Wow.
So
I was going to say, to get that power to the rear wheels, and then to have is there modifications to the chassis, and what kind of rear end do you have?
It's a Ford 9-inch rear end, and it's got factory stock reinforced suspension, but we've changed it to coil over shocks instead of just coil springs and shocks. That's basically about it, and it works pretty good for us.
Okay, and who's the shoe for this?
I'm the shoe, and Mike's the wrench.
I would like to reiterate that it is all
Mike,
factory stock. Hello.
Yeah.
It's all factory stock geometry rear suspension.
Wow.
We have a real good friend, Jimmy Bridges, multinational NHRA event winner, and he's helped us so much on this car.
Okay.
Jimmy's 76 years old, has a super stock C Corvette, and he changed his 65 Chevelle, and he put a 4-link on it, and he was really disappointed. He said, I should have left it at the factory rear suspension type. He said, because the geometry was right, and I upset the balance of the car by making it a back half car.
All right.
And with the super stock stuff, he put the big meats on it, the big tires, and I think they were 1432s, if I'm not mistaken. He said the car just worked better with the smaller tires.
Really? Okay.
I think that's a mistake some people make, is using these big tires, because you have to drag it all the way down the track. And I learned that from Don Garlis, and Warren Johnson said the same thing. You can almost put too much tire on a car. I know there's people that'll argue with it, but
no, I'll take it from a top fuel guy and from a
it's not
pro stock
rocket
guy.
science. We have to learn about the laws of physics.
That's right.
And we're dummies when it comes to that. We don't pursue that enough. And our engine builder has really clued us onto that. And that's Joe Ryan.
Okay.
He had a modified production small block car, a 330-inch motor, and he ran as fast as 140 miles an hour. He set NHRA records.
Wow.
Joe has a shop in Gary, Indiana, 67 years old. He's a machinist, and he's a perfectionist.
Okay.
You know, it's like a carpenter.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, not so much a carpenter, but a cabinet maker.
Well,
it
fine
has
carpenter.
to be perfect.
Yeah.
And people don't understand that. And they're like a little quirky, and they're off, I'm not going to say they're off half a bubble, but it's a different world when you talk to those people. So it's a matter of perfection with that.
I got to ask you, before we walk away, some of your fondest memories of back in the US 30 days, or the days when you toured a pro stock.
Yes.
Anything come to mind that Mr. White, go for it.
Winning the AHRA, I think it was the Summer Nationals at Fort Worth, Texas, and coming in second in the points at AHRA in their points meets. So that was promising. And just the traveling and the people that you meet.
Okay.
And that we used to bump heads with.
Absolutely,
with
the camaraderie,
Don
the friendship
Nicholson
is worth
and
everything.
Soxon Martin. And
Soxon Martin.
Don Nicholson and
These are people we learned from.
Dick Landy.
I loved it, I mean.
Did you guys know the Grump back in the day?
Yes, we did. We raced the Grump numerous times.
Okay.
Yep. Treated him to some scotch. His favorite drink was a bottle of scotch. And he liked redheads. Well built.
Oh my God, big,
Yeah. Okay. If Case Grump's family's looking at this, I'm sure this was just a fantasy, So.
Yeah. Jenkins likes scotch and redheads. Let's just put it at that.
Okay, we'll leave it at that.
The thing that we were at the PRI show a couple of 3 years ago, maybe a little bit longer, and talked to Herb McCandless, the great Herb McCandless, and what a Southern gentleman he is. Of course, he raced for Soxon Martin.
Sure.
And I told Herb, I said, no disrespect to Ronnie, but I think that you were as good a driver as Ronnie. And he says, well, I appreciate that. And I said, Herb, did you ever stop and smell the roses? He says, we had the Chrysler clinics. We went all over the country. We got free cars. We got motors, transmissions. All we had to do was assemble the stuff, put our hard work into it, and we went all over the country, courtesy cars for our family. He said, maybe I didn't stop and enjoy and smell the roses, but by gosh, I was so glad I grew up during the golden age of drag racing.
Yeah. And that it was, too.
Yes, it was.
And that got me right here, because, we can't relive our youth, and that's really important. But we can respect our history.
That's right, and not forget it, and pass the history on like we're doing right now with this interview.
Okay.
It's essential, So.
Hey, we're out here older, Probably not wiser because we're still out here doing this, but we're having fun and trying to carry on the sports and get some younger kids involved in the same thing.
And that's the big thing that we're not really seeing a lot of people come into this nostalgia superstock thing.
Right.
Because you have to know where you're going before, you have to know where you've been before you know where you're going.
Amen.
I mean, and that's the way I look at it in life. Not to get too philosophical about this.
Go for it.
Like the Old Testament and the New Testament, and whatever people believe, they believe. I have no problem with that. But a lot of people don't believe in the Old Testament. Wait a minute. Like drag racing, you got to know where you've been before you know where you're going.
Right.
You know, and that's a good thing. That's about life, period.
It is, and it applies to this sport.
Yes.
Also, so, anyhow, listen, guys, I want to thank you so much for. I know both of you were at different areas of the track. We came walking up on their pit team here and their family, and they got them on the radio. You guys showed up. It's an honor. I'm going to shake your hand. It's an honor.
Thank you for
to meet
spending the time to show people this program.
Our friends here. You know, we wouldn't be doing this if we didn't have them helping us at our age.
Okay.
So, you know, that's important.
No,
too.
I caught like a family here.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
You guys united with the love for what you do.
Yep.
You know, for whatever little tidbit you may use of this, we appreciate you stopping by.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know.
All right. And with that, stay with us. We got more coming right here from Route 66 Dragway and NMRA events 2017.
Go ahead, Bill.
Thanks.
Oh.
How you guys doing?
Okay, we shoot some B-roll of you prepping your stuff.
Yeah, there you go. Always something.
Yeah, really. Okay, I just can't seem to get out of the pits, and I'm looking at some of these nostalgic cars, and it's just blowing me away. This one kind of looks familiar, but then we're going to find out more about it. I got the owner-operator of this car right now, and your name, sir?
It's Jeff Boris.
Jeff? Is that French?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't want to chance mispronouncing it. It's a beautiful name, I might add. Most French is. But anyhow, this is an awesome-looking car. Correct me if I'm wrong. Is this a tribute car to anyone that we know in drag racing?
Oh yes, Arnie Beswick, the farmer.
Yes, absolutely.
Way back from the 60s.
Oh yeah, and still around today, I might add.
Yes, I believe he's about 86, 87 now.
Yeah,
yeah,
really. Still in drag racing, but does not drive. Is that?
I think he'll do one pass down the strip just for the fans.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, I hope I'm doing that at 86.
Oh, me too. Yeah,
yeah,
for sure.
I hear you. But has Arnie Farmer Beswick seen this car?
Yes, actually, last year at the Tri-Power Nationals, Arnie, I knew him previously, and then I bought the car, and I went and got him and had him come over and sign the car. And
all right, yeah, I'm seeing some signatures on here now.
Yeah. We got 3 signatures. Arnie done. Yeah.
I see we got one on the back end. Our camera guy. Dave Paninsky, the owner and operator of AC Varieties, on.
Right.
But we'll point him out to these other signatures. But go ahead. So he was cooperative with you signing?
Oh yeah, he climbed right up there in the engine compartment.
Wow.
You know, so he could get a good signature in there.
Say, his script is perfect.
Yeah. Heck of a nice guy. I mean, he giving me all kinds of information to do this and don't do that. And
wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Gave me a lot of memorabilia stuff of his cars.
All right.
To put in my collection now.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Now, would it be safe to say you're a Pontiac guy too? With,
Absolutely. I still have the '69 GTO Ram Air 4 car that I bought new in high school.
God bless you. That's pretty good.
6 other Pontiacs, Super
All right,
Duties, Ram Air 5 cars, and
wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I hated to see Pontiac go when it was on the chopping block. But,
it was a
it's
heartbreaker.
Synonymous with performance for so long, and not only in drag racing, but even in NASCAR for many years too. But anyhow, which brings us to this beautiful Tempest that we have in front of us. This is a Tempest, not a Le Mans, right?
Correct. Tempest, 63, 1963. Yeah.
Take us through the drivetrain. I'm looking at what appears to be a big block. So.
Yeah, it's a 455. It's a Butler motor with Edelbrock heads on it.
Okay.
And then I put a Winsler tunnel ram on it.
Nice ram on it.
Yeah, real nice. Works great.
Ports look gigantic.
Oh, they're huge.
Yeah, I was
They're
gonna
huge.
say, right.
And then we put 2 750 Edelbrock carburetors on it.
Okay. You like Edelbrock carbs better than the Hollies, or?
Well, Hollies would not be. Wouldn't be legal for the class.
Okay, did not know that.
Yeah.
I'm learning on the fly here.
Yeah. So you have to use the Edelbrock, which were similar to the Carter carburetors of the day.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Okay.
To keep it legal.
And what do you got this engine bolted to as far as a tranny?
It's a 350 turbo with
okay.
cone drive converter that we just put in it, and we were running 1060s, 1070s, and we put the new converter in and had the transmission reworked. It dropped it down to 10.1.
Wow,
yeah.
That's a substantial difference in ETs. Wow.
I know it. So now I'm having troubles going slower to stay in the 1050 class.
Yeah.
So for the Tri-Power Nationals next weekend, we're going to take everything apart again and try to go faster.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Keep it 10 even. Yeah.
And when all this reaches the back wheels, what kind of rear end do you have?
It's a Ford 9-inch rear end with a 373 gear. And,
that's
with a
surprising. I thought you'd be into the
fours. Yeah. It hooks up good, goes straight. And
yeah, I saw you make a time run, and I was very impressed with the way it came off the line and tracked really well.
Yeah, it's got the leaf springs with a pinion snubber. You know, old school.
That is old school.
Yeah.
Hey man, if it's working, you know,
yeah.
Don't mess with it. So how long? What area do you campaign this car out of, and how long have you owned it?
Well, I've owned it for 2 years.
Okay.
I bought it from a gentleman in California, sight unseen. Saw it in a magazine and sent him the money and a shipper, and he just loaded it up and brought it to Michigan.
Wow.
And I've only had it for the 2 years, but we just run the NMCA circuit, you know, from Florida all the way up to Ohio, and wherever they're racing, we go.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So one last question before I let you go too is that all Pontiac event coming up in 2017 soon or again? Or?
Yeah, this coming weekend.
Oh, really?
At
okay.
Norwalk, Ohio.
Okay.
Yeah.
And is it safe to say you might run into Arnie the Farmer Beswick?
Oh, he'll definitely be there.
Okay, it's in his blood, folks. He's gonna definitely be there.
Yeah, and I'll go get him on the golf cart and have him come over and
sign a few more things.
Sign some more stuff, jackets and everything.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
I mean, you know.
Yeah, legend like that, it's unbelievable.
Yeah, and I might have mentioned to you off camera that I met him for the first time earlier this year, and he's an 86-year-old to me that looks like he's a 60-year-old.
Yeah.
Or 50 to 60-year-old. I can't explain. And I went to shake his hand, and he gave me a firm handshake, pretty damn near sent me to the ground.
Yeah.
You know, just, okay, you know, he's the man, what was it? My handshake is my bond. You know, that's the kind of guy he is. He's a Southern Illinois farmer.
Yeah.
And true to the word of his character and what he's brought to racing and everything else.
Yeah,
and,
for sure.
And for you to have a tribute car that direction and be so competitive, like my hat's off to you.
Yeah, thank you very much.
No small task, and you got this car dialed in and running great. So best of luck at the Pontiac event coming up next weekend, and of course today.
Yeah.
And this whole weekend. So it's a pleasure to have met you, and thanks for taking the time to speak with us.
Okay, great.
Okay, more coming. Stay with us. Okay, as we're continuing our walk through the pits here at the NMCA event here at Route 66 Dragway 2017, you see some terrific drag racing, and with drag racing is speed, skill, and there's also danger. And what we're looking at right now is a very competitive Ford Fairmont. I've got the owner and driver with me now. This car in the past has achieved quite a lot in this class, hasn't it? I mean, give me a quick history.
It has. I mean, it's won 2008 NMRA in Georgia, 2014 Super Bowl, 2016 Super Bowl, and right before the crash, it went 38, which it usually runs a 28, so it probably would have ran on a number, sadly. Yep.
Talk about dialed in. Obviously, we know that you took a spin on a time trial here. You kissed both of the walls. Kind of take us through the run, and what did it feel like, and when did it start to feel like, okay, something's wrong?
It was going real good until about 1,100 feet or so, and
what do you
it felt
estimate your speed at that point?
probably about 130 or so, 135, something like that.
I won't interrupt. Go ahead.
No, not a problem. Like I say, right around 1,100 feet or so, it just felt like it started to get real loose, and then at a certain point, I started to try to correct it a little bit. It's hard left. Once it went into the wall, I tried to correct it again to the right, and I maybe overcorrected it just a hair, and at that point, I went to the right. And when I went to the right, it was just up in the air, and it was pretty much on ice. So it was uncontrollable at that point.
At what point did the speed kind of peel away from the friction of the car? I mean,
right around 100 or so.
Don't want to bring you there, but in your racing career, has this ever happened before?
No, nothing like this at all. No, not at all. I mean, they say it could happen, and as you can see, it can happen to anybody, really. I mean, the car's been awesome. We've always ran it at every track. We've never had any major issues with it. It's always been reliable. Always put the best parts you can put in it, but that's just something that happens. That's, it's sad but true. So.
Now, as you complete the 2017 season, it's probably going to be a rebuild on this for...
It's really hard to say, honestly. Either we can try to fix it, or at that point we're just going to cut it up and probably try and find another car. We've got 2 other race cars. So
that's what I heard. You have some Mustangs or something?
He's got a Fox body Mustang. We were going to run a True Street, and then he's got another big tire Mustang 2, big block car. I can run that in open comp or find something
so
like
you
that.
might be needed as a driver, obviously.
Right, exactly. So we'll find something to get down the track with.
Yeah,
this definitely won't stop us. Sad, but it won't stop us. That's for sure.
It's sad. It's it's tough luck here.
Absolutely.
And like the gentleman was saying, and I'm sorry I didn't get your name.
Michael and check. Yep.
Like Mike was saying, you're going down a path like you've done 100 times before, and you don't know if someone's going to come out and bite you or not. And today
it did.
Today it bit him. And but my hat's off to you, to your ability to bring the car under control and to minimize the damage that you did do, and that did happen, and that's a tribute to your knowing the car and being ready. But want to wish you the best of luck going forward. That this is just a bump in the road.
I hope so.
And God bless you. We're going to go forward from here and
absolutely thank
learn
you
from it. Let me grab a hand, Mike.
Yes, sir. Thank
God
you.
bless. Take care.
Thank you.
Okay, as we're going through the car show again now, we're looking at custom cars and street cars and stuff, and all of a sudden I ran across, I'm not sure what to call it. We're going to talk to the engineer that made these things. It's sort of a race bike, I'm not sure, or a cruiser.
Bike or something.
Okay, and here's the engineering behind it. And your name, sir?
J.R. Merriman.
J.R., let me ask you, first of all, how'd you come up with the idea of...
Well, I worked at a speed shop. I didn't have money for a race car.
Okay.
They bent that rim one day at the shop, so I told them to put a tire on it.
On the copper-colored car here?
Yeah.
Okay.
So they put the tire on in 3 weeks. Super Chevy came to this track the first year, and I made that in 3 weeks to bring out here.
All your welds are really good on that.
And then I had so much fun, I had to make another one.
That would be the green one?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I'm digging the wheelie bar on the green one too, there, just in case. You
know, I got tired, hurt my neck.
Yeah. Imagine the whole shots get kind of rough on me.
Yeah.
Anyhow, so dialing it in to make sure you had the right sprockets and gear and chain.
They're actually like a 12-speed.
Okay.
And I actually have them in the gear I need them in now. There's cables, but I left them off and I repainted them because everybody wants to play with the cables, and
Yeah.
I don't need to shift them, so I leave them in one gear now.
Okay. Okay.
So I didn't know what kind of gearing I needed when I made them, so I made them where I would have plenty of gears, so if I needed them, I had them.
Now you told me off camera, and I want you to share the story again, that you actually by pedaling you actually spun one of these Goodyear Eagle slicks.
Yes, I did. This one here I actually had pulled my Astro van with it when I first made it. I wanted to make a pit bike out of it so I could pull cars up the pit.
Sure, yeah.
I got down in my drive, I hit a little hump, and all of a sudden it kept going like this, and I'm like, I thought something was slipping on my gearing. I looked down, I was actually spinning that tire.
I love it.
I'm like, I can't believe I did that, but it didn't have enough top end, so I changed the gearing, and I can't pull an Astro van no more, but they're just a lot of fun to go around. And,
Oh, they look like a blast.
everybody,
and
the kids, the women come by, they just laugh and take pictures. It's fun to sit and watching people.
Now, is there a trick to the tire pressure on these Goodyear Eagles for this application?
Yeah, this one here, you put a lot of air in it.
Gee, I don't know why.
You're riding up on the top of that tire.
So a wrinkle wall would be out of the question?
Well, I'd have legs that big around the wrinkle wall. There's a riot to have fun.
All right, and I got to ask you, what gave you the idea too? You came up with the concept, and I see you're adding the spoilers and the air fins, and then the wheelie bars. That's just like something popped in your head? Or?
Yeah, this was my first one. It took 3 weeks, and that one I wanted to make a lot neater.
Yeah.
And there's no end to it. You just keep adding more things.
Yeah, your imagination.
I am going to make a couple more, I think. I got people every time I go out, they want to buy them. And
I was just going to say, if you had anybody like, hey, can you custom order this, or can you make me one?
Well, I had a lady in Plainfield, $5,000 for that, and I said, no, ma'am, you can't have it.
No
She got mad at me. I said, why? I said, these are the only two in the world.
That's right.
They're too much fun. I'll make you one, but you're not getting one of these.
Wow.
She got mad at me. I said, ma'am, I'm sorry, but these aren't for sale.
Wow.
They're just too much fun.
No, I hear you. I'm surprised. I mean, I'm not surprised that she's weighed $5,000 under your nose too. But you know,
That's a little much.
It is, but there's a principle involved here too. And I agree with your being the engineer behind this, and this is your concept. Yeah, go for it.
You don't want to sell your own toys, you know?
No. Number one rule, guys: you don't sell your own toys. Anyhow, let me grab a hand, Jared. Thank you so much for
Nice being here. And
absolutely. And
nice day today, and a lot of cars here.
I'm loving the day too, and typical summer day right here in the heartland, if you will. But again, I had to talk to you. Saw these unique pieces here, and glad you had a chance to speak with us.
Glad I could make it here too.
All right. Thanks again.
See you next time.
You bet.
Right.
It's mine. Yes. I gotta tell you, the paint is stunning.
Okay, we're back at the car show again, and ran across a bit of a fooler here. I love Chevrolets, I love Z28s especially, and this is 69 is no exception. But I got a little surprised when I looked underneath the hood, so I went and got the owner of the car, and we're going to meet him right now. And your name, sir?
My name's Jim Hall.
Jimmy, I'm a Jim too. Okay, I went by the car expecting to see, I'm going to see a small block 302, and all of a sudden I see this monster rat motor in there. What's going on? What's the story behind that?
Well, when I had the car apart, I decided to take the 302 out and put the 427 crate motor in it.
Okay. And from out of the crate, did that motor come with, was that an assembled short block, or it had heads on it and everything? Or?
It came with the ZZ head option.
Okay.
And then I had to do everything else.
All right. But what kind of horsepower did they rate it when you bought it? What was it they expected it would be? You know what I'm trying
Close
to
to 500 horse.
Okay.
It's just under 500.
Okay, that's substantial. That's pretty good.
That was the most we could get and still run vacuum to work the stuff, because you push over 500 horse, you lose vacuum.
Okay, and I've noticed, you have the hidden headlight things, and you got a lot of vacuum operated things.
Right, and I didn't want to go up any higher than that and then have to turn everything into electric, because I wanted to kind of keep the car close to its original. That way, if somebody wanted to reverse what I've done, they can do that.
Sure, and I'm sure the 302 is still available that you have.
Still have.
I don't know if you'd ever want to sell it. I would never want to, because this is probably the smoothest looking 69 I've ever seen. But
I kept the 302 for the car.
Okay, and whatever other changes
and all
you made.
the other, yep, and all the other adjustments I've made.
All right. this car is, to me, it's like showroom, okay? How did you come to find it, and how long have you had it?
I've owned this car for 31 years.
Amen, brother. That's pretty good.
And I found this car in Elkhart where I live at.
Okay.
And even 30 years ago, this was a hard one to come by.
You're not kidding. So in other words, it was sort of like homegrown in your area all along?
All along.
Wow. Now, originally from the factory, was it always orange with black stripes?
Yes, everything's original to this car except for drivetrain and tires and wheels.
Okay. And again, as we're standing here, I'm looking at the interior. It's impeccable. The inlays on the seats are just like new. You know, they're really, really nice considering the age, you know.
I got to tell you that it's got a new aftermarket interior in it.
Okay, well...
It's a PUI original copy.
It's a damn good copy.
They do a real good job. It looks just as good.
Absolutely. It fooled me. I'm going to be honest with you.
I took the rally door panels off and put standard door panels on. It's a split.
Okay.
Either car didn't come either way this way, but that's what I preferred. I never did like the plastic panels.
I don't blame you.
So I put the standard ones on it and put the houndstooth interior back in.
Okay. Now I got to ask, we just talked about the engine. What kind of tranny do you have? That's a 4-speed, right? Or?
It's still sporting the Muncie Hearst 4-speed.
Okay. Hearst linkage on there? Okay. And it goes to a Chevy 12-bolt rear end, I presume? Or?
Chevy 12-bolt rear end.
Now I'm going to guess on the 373 on the gear ratio?
373 rear gate.
Okay, I'm loving it. I'm loving it.
It's all Z.
Yes, it is. And I know, and I'm going to take a stab at this, the purists probably walk by and look at this car and go, oh my God, what did you do? Has that happened to you?
More than once.
More than once.
Especially when they look at the VIN. They know everything's all there but that motor.
Yeah. Okay, well, you know what? I'm gonna give my hats off to you on that. You saved all the key components. If you ever wanted to swing back into total original again, but yet you made something really special here too. Now, how does it drive? How does it feel when you get on
it? Small block and big block power are two different kinds of power.
Yes, it is, and can kind of cover that for us.
When I had the small block in it, the front end wanted to come up like you're going to pop a wheelie.
Yeah.
And the big block, the way this thing is, it wants to set down now.
Okay.
Just the other, bear down. That's all that torque you get from them big block motors.
Do you, as far as pulling it back in the seat and accumulating speed, is that similar, or is the big block you feeling it a little stronger?
I think the big block's a little stronger with the G-force.
Okay, and then given the horsepower of this crate motor, does the car's track pretty straight for you?
Yes, it does.
Okay, that's a good sign. Okay, excellent.
This car, that 302 used to get 90 mile an hour in second gear.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's not a real, other than the type of power feel, as far as speed, that small block hang with it.
Okay. Well, we want to thank you for taking the time to speak with us.
Did you look underneath the car?
No, I didn't. I was looking at the Rally Sport emblems with the 427 edition emblem on there, but what do you got going on underneath?
Well, it's got the cutouts, Hedman headers.
Oh, okay.
MagnaFlow 3-inch exhaust all the way out.
Okay, so this baby's breathing.
And 1.5 gallon of POR sprayed in every nook and cranny and underneath it. The whole underneath is POR.
Okay.
And guy told me, he says what makes a car is the bottom of it.
All right.
He says I start from the bottom, and he says I look up. He says that tells me what kind of real car you got or not.
Well, it's definitely, our cameraman is now trying to get underneath the car, so I'm assuming it's as pristine as the top based on what you just said to me.
Maybe better.
Maybe better. All right. Anyhow, I want to, Jim, enjoy this car. Every time you show it, somebody comes up and asks you about it. It's different, and it's different in a special way. So don't let the purists get to you, buddy.
No, I don't.
You know, this is you got a gem here. So let me grab a hand. Thanks so much for taking the time to speak with us.
up here in Superstar. One out the final, they said Shelby Whipper for sure, going the money round. What were they doing last night? 11:42. a good shot. He's last time by 400. Right along, we're going to the final round. We're at 797. David Meyer, Island, Michigan, 69 mile an hour, all the way to the West Coast Beach, Joliet, Arizona. Ryan Bell, 764 West State West Series in Montana. Roush, 13th, head start rookie, Robert Peter. Hanover Park, Illinois, 2000 Camaro down to 1222. Stage number at the Open D Mustang. Still at the 10th in the pocket because Robert Peter, deadly reaction up 204 like 259, and Robert Peter bows out here for round 2. He's got way quicker.
Excitement's kind of building. We're getting near the end of the day of the 2 days, actually 3 days of competition here at Roush 66 Raceway 2017 NMRA event. The final rounds are happening just a few minutes behind us. We wanted to take the time to thank you for viewing this on behalf of motorsagogo.com, whose parent one is acvariety.com. From that website, you can go to all of our websites. We thank you for viewing. We really had a great time and great hospitality shown to us. As you can see, I'm wearing the media vests, which are provided to media people or production people such as David Paninsky, who's the owner and operator of AC Variety, and all of his staff, and Jim, I'm his staff, Jim, and so we, in order to be on the side of the starting line, which you see us standing right now at, you have to have the proper credentials and the proper know-how on how to be here in Irvine. That's how you get a vest. So anyhow, again, without further ado, thank you so much for viewing. We hope you thoroughly enjoyed this program as we enjoy doing it for you. Stay tuned for bigger and better and more fun things, always coming from Motors A Go-Go.
Raise your hand if you want to be quiet.
I can't believe I did that.